Welcome to today's episode of Demystify Selling with Microsoft. And I'm super excited for our episode today because we're going to talk about a set of customers that people don't normally think about. And I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming down or regulations coming down that are going to affect this set of customers. And today's guest, Justin Orcutt, he deals with these customers every day. So I'm super excited to talk to Justin and to hear more about what's going on there. So welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you extend the invite to have me join you today.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this conversation. So maybe to get us started, you could give a little context of what your role is at Microsoft.
Absolutely. So again, I'm Justin. I am Director of Cybersecurity within our Defense Industrial Base team here at Microsoft, also referred to as the Aerospace and Defense team. We sit within our manufacturing org, and we support some of the largest defense contractors across the United States and globally. Our team is really here to support customers achieve some of their regulatory requirements by using our technology. So I regularly work with security teams, compliance teams, legal teams to help them understand how Microsoft's tools work and how they could be used to achieve some of their regulatory compliance requirements or some of the security frameworks that they're pursuing.
Great. Well, so I wanted to dig in. I heard something there that I wanted to just double click on, which was you talked about the defense industrial base. And so I just wanted to clarify, when you say that, are those commercial organizations or are they federal, or how does that all come together?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of organizations out there that, especially within manufacturing, they have multiple different divisions and business units. And these are commercial companies that happen to do work with the Department of Defense. Okay. And a portion of their business might be dedicated. This is everything from companies that create Velcro, so like Velcro, to companies that develop tape, like 3M. And then there's other companies associated with the DIB that might develop metal equipment. So they take raw materials and turn it into metal products, or they might be assemblers of products, or they might be system integrators. So there's a wide variety of companies that make up the DIB. But if you look across the DIB, not all of them are 100% dedicated to doing work with the Department of Defense. It is a fractional piece of their business. And that piece of the business sometimes operates different than the rest of the business. Yeah. So what we try to do is bridge that language gap between what goes on in their commercial world and what goes on in their, we call it the low side of their environment in protecting certain types of data.
Okay, and then the high side is the DoD. Is that DoD?
The high side would be, think classified. So okay. The way we think about it is you have your low side being what's going on within a commercial cloud environment. You have your low side, which might deal with something called controlled unclassified information, which is also referred to as CUI. And then you have your high side, which might deal with classified data. So think confidential or secret or above those classifications.
Okay. And so, is that, if I think about the sort of the Microsoft world and we think about commercial tenants, and then you think about tenants like GCC High, is that where that comes into play?
Exactly. So GCC High would be considered a low side environment, and that is designed for the Defense Industrial Base to achieve some of their requirements like DFARS 252-204-7012, which is a regulation that came out that requires defense contractors to implement a basic amount of security. And a lot of our defense contractors leverage GCC High as a way to achieve their requirements.
Excellent. Okay. And this is one of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you is there's a lot of talk about changes coming down the pike for security and for compliance for this industry, the Defense Industrial Base industry, or the DIB as you call it. And so is that what's going on now? We're seeing a lot of changes and a lot of things that companies are going to have to comply with. Is that what's going on?
The market is changing every single day. There's new regulations coming out. Microsoft tracks all types of regulations. The Defense Industrial Base has to comply with a lot more than just DFARS or what's referred to as CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. That's the new and hot topic that everybody
Right.
wants to talk about. It's been under development for a while, and they believe the final rollout and final implementation will be around 2024. But when you think about it, there's about 300,000 defense industrial base companies, 300,000.
Wow.
Each of them have to go through and get certified, or not all of them, but a majority of them need to go through a third-party audit and be certified for CMMC. And right now, they're trying to follow along with what the government is doing and requiring, and they're waiting for something called the final rule, the CMMC final rule, to come out. Last week, there was another change to a popular framework. So the predecessor to CMMC is DFARS 252, 204, 7012. And last week, there was a change in the underlying control framework, which is NIST 800, 171, Rev 3. So not to throw around all these different numbers, what this means is it's complicated, right? To follow along as a defense contractor of what's going on and what's required. And I think that's why our customers, really enjoy talking with our team and with Microsoft overall, because we can help understand what those requirements are and help them in achieving those requirements.
Right. I mean, it seems like it's a long bridge to cross. There's a lot going on, a lot to understand. And what I'd like to do is pivot then and talk about the partner community. And I imagine this is going to have a big impact on our Microsoft partner community in terms of, one, understanding what the changes are, and more importantly, how they can bring those changes in front of the customers and help each of your DIB customers to realize that sort of level of compliance that's going to be needed for them.
Absolutely. I'll start off by saying anytime there's a changing regulation, there's an opportunity for partners to really demonstrate value by sharing insight, perspective, experience, thought leadership. And we see a number of our partners doing that currently with customers, educating them on what these requirements entail and how to achieve them, educating them on what the current roadmap is around these compliance requirements. So this is certainly an opportunity for partners to develop deeper relationships with those customers and help them digitally transform what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I would also say that this is also where partners need to understand what the requirements are, because they themselves will ultimately have requirements. One thing that DFARS requires is flow downs of certain clauses to any service providers. And if you're providing things like a managed service, it's important to make sure that you're sharing with customers what is your responsibility and what is their responsibility. And we see partners excelling at this every single day. The more you can share with customers that you understand those requirements, the better off you are. And I think partners are certainly rising to the occasion.
So if I'm hearing you right, then it's not only the customer that may have to comply with these requirements, but as a partner to that customer, we'll have compliance requirements wrapped around us where we need to meet certain, whatever it might be, levels of compliance in order to provide a service to that DIB customer. Is that what I heard you say?
That's absolutely correct. But it is dependent on the type of service that a partner offers. For instance, if you're offering strategic consulting, you might not be implementing a technology, you might not be managing a technology, so you might not have a burden of shared responsibility for individual controls. However, if you're deploying or managing an environment, it's important to know what these requirements are, how a customer can achieve them. And in doing that, you build trust with the customer, right? Because you're able to speak the same language as them and understand the challenges and the complications that present itself. In addition, when a partner understands these requirements, they also likely have a background in understanding Microsoft's different technology solutions that are available to achieve those requirements. A lot of our customers own aspects of tools within the Microsoft stack that can help them in implementing the technical control that needs to be achieved within NIST 800, 171. So, certainly, absolutely, partners need to be aware of this and be prepared to either implement it themselves or to help talk to a customer about really what's required in order to implement it properly.
Right, because I mean, just listening to you over these last few minutes, I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't think I could repeat back all of what you just said.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it really is going to be a heavy lift on those partners to understand not only the existing requirements, but as you said, it's always in flight and there's always changes happening. So they need to be able to communicate that. And I think that you talk about the value that brings to the client, so that the client sees their thought leadership, sees how they understand what's happening. But if I look at it from a different perspective, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you utilize partners. I imagine even in the DIB, you're still using partners closely, and they're a big part of your go-to-market motion. So I'd love to talk a little more about that.
Absolutely. So there's a couple different ways that I leverage partners. One, and I would say the most important one, is thought leadership, right? Our partners all excel at different things, and I want to highlight those experiences, those stories, that thought leadership as much as we possibly can. And one way that I try to achieve that is we have multiple different publications that we come out with on a regular basis, and we try to showcase partners in those publications, right? What are they doing? Where are they adding value to end customers with these requirements? And how can their skills be leveraged to help a customer? So that's one way. The second way is, as we help a customer through their journey of compliance, they need someone to help guide them. And Microsoft is a technology provider, at least the side that I sit on, right? We're a software company, and we don't have consulting services, for some of these customers. We have consulting services in some areas for certain things, but not necessarily for CMMC compliance. So it's really important that we have partners that can help customers in implementing CMMC, and that we have partners that can help customers understand what their gaps are for CMMC and help them along their journey. So when I say, consult and provide that strategy conversation, part of that means maybe coming in for architecture design sessions. So I commonly run architecture design sessions with partners for a customer. And what that looks like is we bring them into one of our Microsoft technology centers, and we whiteboard out, where are they today and what are they trying to achieve? What does that future state look like? We want to help them understand how they could do these things and how they could do it in cloud. And our partners are a great resource to partner with to bring that vision to life. I would say the last part where I rely on partners is really scalability. There are a lot of defense contractors out there. I alluded to about 300,000 earlier. Our team is a small team. We definitely don't have 300,000 of us. So we need to rely on partners to have some of these conversations and help educate the community, the defense industrial base, about what they need to do and how they could do it, and help them understand what the requirements are. So really they help us scale, which is so important to the Microsoft team.
Well, and I think when I hear scale, one of the things that I encourage partners to do and to think about is, you've got this large group of customers, and you can't be there to touch every customer and to understand what's going on in every customer. And when a partner can share insights with you on what the customer's doing, where they are in their journey, I've got to imagine that's pretty valuable for you as an account executive or a seller in the Microsoft ecosystem, in that customer base. Is that true?
Absolutely. So if we're working together on a particular customer, I can bring the partner insights, right? Insights and experience that might benefit them in their project that they're delivering, or the managed service that they're giving the end customer. And likewise, they could share their insights, right? Is the customer being challenged with anything? Is there a blocker? Is there a complication that they discovered, right? And ultimately, this helps the customer because they don't need to have multiple conversations. They don't need to wait an extended period of time for problems to get fixed. They don't need to wait for a subject matter expert to address what they need. And we're able to quickly help the customer achieve their end outcome. So yeah, those insights, Rob, are extremely valuable. And I exchange those with partners on a regular basis to make sure that we help the end customer.
Right. And I love the point you made there about it helps speed up the customer journey when it's not back and forth, or you have to go find out some information and the partner has to go find it. When you're exchanging that information, the ability to move the customer through their journey quicker, I mean, it benefits all of us. It benefits the customer, in my mind, that they're getting their outcome quicker, you're getting your outcome quicker, and the partner is helping, facilitate all of that. So I think that's a huge benefit.
And I would say every time I have a conversation with the CIO, CTO, CISO, whoever I'm working with, one of the first questions out of my mouth is, who's the partner, right? Because when I hang up the phone, I want to collaborate with that partner and make sure that we're hearing the same thing. We're talking about the same solution type, that we are understanding of the customer timeline and priorities and stakeholders. And by the time I'm off the phone with that stakeholder, the final thing out of my mouth is, are we ready to pull in the partner and have these conversations? If so, I'll give them a call right now and we'll make sure that we're all aligned. And,
Right.
9 times out of 10, that customer stakeholder says, yes, please, that would save me a lot of time and
Right.
effort. So the customer appreciates it above everything else.
Yeah, it's that win-win-win. Everybody's going to win out of that engagement. So one of the other things, and I'll rewind a little bit on you here, but you talked about is you're out there evangelizing what's going on in CMMC. And one of the things that I've seen other partners do, and I'm curious if it benefits you in your world, is hosting these events. And you talked about the MTC, is like getting out there and getting customers out of this group of 300,000 to come in here and learn sort of in a group environment. I mean, do you see partners doing that, or do you think that there's an opportunity for partners to be more proactive in that arena?
Yeah, and I'll answer that 2 ways. So first is, our partners that deliver the most value to Microsoft and the Microsoft team that they work with have their own version of an MTC. And they come to us and they say, hey, I am doing this multi-customer event. Do you have customers that would benefit from this conversation? Almost like an opt-in, right? And we can say, yes, absolutely. And I'll give you an example. We work with a managed security services company. They have a security operations center in 2 different states. They cater to the defense industrial base. They said, hey, we have a tour that we want to give customers to help them understand how we're managing our security operations center to achieve the requirements of CMMC. Do you have customers that would be interested, right? That's an easy opt-in. That's an easy way for us to invite customers into a conversation where they will get value. It's not a sales conversation. It's our partner demonstrating how something could be done. And even better, when they're demonstrating how something could be done on the Microsoft platform. The second thing I would say is it's really valuable for us to collaborate with our partners on events. So the MTC is just one form of an event. Another event that our team hosts is our DIB Summit that happens twice a year. And this is where we bring leaders from across the defense industrial base into one location. We ask some of our partners to join us and help have conversations with customers about what their challenges are. And it's a great opportunity to hear from those customers about what they're trying to do. And we have competitors in the room together, and they're all helping solve problems together, and they're all sharing experiences. And having those partners present, again, help our customer go further, because they're there, they hear the challenge, they hear the problem, they're in the room, they have the right people there, and we're able to quickly assist the customer as a follow-up to that event to make the customer successful. So a lot of variations of ways to handle events. I love it when partners host their own events and they tell me about them, and I could encourage customers to participate. And I love when we host events and our partner community is supporting us at those events and sending the right people there to make an impact on our customers.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there, Justin, I love. Is one, hosting your own events. Don't wait for Microsoft to say, yeah, we'll run an event for you. Get out there and run these events and let your Microsoft counterparts know, because it sounds like, Justin, if you've got somebody in your Rolodex of customers that this would be a good fit for, it sounds like you're open to sharing that with them and letting them know that there's an opportunity for them to learn. So that would be the one thing I took away from what you said there. And then the second thing, which is even more interesting to me, is that you're very clear. It's not a zero-sum game. Look, there are competitors in the room, but it's a big problem. It's a massive problem, and it's going to take all of us to come together and solve this problem to help this whole DIB industry, 300,000 strong, to solve a massive problem, and one that they're going to have to solve. It doesn't sound like this will be a opt-in, opt-out kind of problem. No, you're going to have to be compliant, and it's going to take all of us as partners to work together to really help.
And I'll say, at our DIB Summit, we recently had multiple different partners in the room. They each had a specialty. Some of them had overlapping specialties. And coming out of that DIB Summit, there was a customer with a challenge, and two partners that perform the exact same type of work called one another to say, hey, I don't have the right team for this particular type of work. Do you have expertise in that area? Can you help support us on that project, right? So I love also when partners collaborate with partners and they're working together to be successful, because again, at the end of the day, if we can make the customer successful, that's really what matters. And on the event side, I would also add that if a partner is planning their own event, don't share that event with just one Microsoft person. Branch out, right? Expand your network as much as possible, because that one person might be busy, might not have anyone that topic's relevant to. Yes, they might have shared the event with customers in the past and helped driven attendance for you. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people at Microsoft. Network, get to know people within Microsoft. You never know who can potentially help you and help your customers.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I mean, partners need to recognize that it's not just one person. It's not just Justin. It's Justin. It's a team of Justins. It's a team of sellers coming together to try and help that. So I love that piece of advice. I did have a question that I wanted to ask earlier, and so I'm just going to stick it in right here and say, you talked about you sit in the Aerospace group. Where does that land in terms of Microsoft? So if I think of the Microsoft field, I think there's the SMC group, there's the enterprise, federal. Where does your organization land in the sort of larger Microsoft field sales?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think of the field, really there's two separate groups, right? There's Microsoft Commercial, there's Microsoft Federal. Microsoft Federal does what it sounds it does. And then we have Microsoft Commercial, which deals with all the commercial companies. And that then breaks down into different regions, one of which is, I think it's called the Americas currently. So I sit within the Americas, within one of our OUs, manufacturing, and that is within the enterprise group. And then there's other groups, I believe SMC, like you mentioned, and other levels beyond that. So it's important to get to know people and Microsoft team members from each of those different areas, right? Because they might align to your company in different ways as a partner. And understanding the objectives of that team, understanding the objectives of that organization and what they're trying to do with customers would be really important, because I'm sure what we're doing in manufacturing is a little bit different than what's going on in financial services, which might be different than other business units as well.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, is when, as a partner, if you're reaching out to talk to someone like Justin, is really understand what's important in Justin's world. What does Justin focus on, and really understand, so you can bring value in a way that makes sense for the person you're talking to. I think that's the takeaway I got from that, Justin.
You're a lot more elegant than I am, Rob. A lot more elegant than I am.
So as we're wrapping up here, I have one final question for you, and it's really, if you had to share with a partner the one thing that they should focus on doing when engaging with your group, whether it's with you or anyone else on your group, what's the one thing you would say, look, if you start here, you're going to be most successful? Or if you focus on this thing, I'd just love to get sort of one actionable takeaway that a partner could put into play today.
Yeah, I think the final thing that I would share with partners is, look, at the end of the day, we're in this together. If the partner is successful, Microsoft will be successful. If we're both successful, we're going to help our end customer succeed in whatever strategic initiative that they have. So it's really important that we get in alignment. That way we can maximize the insight and the experience and the end user journey that we could help customers with. So, I look forward to working with any of our partners, and I encourage them to reach out and collaborate. So, thank you for listening to this podcast and hearing a little bit more about ways that we could partner. I hope after this session, partners walk away knowing that, again, we're in this together. So let's get out there, let's work together on opportunities, and let's mutually help our customers be successful.
Yeah, I love that. That is some great advice, Justin. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. I know you've got a lot on your plate, so thanks for spending a little bit, about a half hour with us. And
yeah, absolutely. Anytime. It was great to be here, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just one last final point is, if someone wants to reach out to you, where's the best place to get a hold of Justin?
Great question. I would say on LinkedIn. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. You should be able to find me, Justin Orcutt. If you can't, you always can find me via Rob. So reach out to Rob, and Rob will get you connected with me.
LinkedIn is the place to start.